My husband stood in our bedroom doorway with his arms crossed, casually announcing that 12 of his family members were arriving for a 2-week stay. I had major spinal surgery just 5 days prior and could barely sit up. He spoke with a cold indifference that made me realize my role in this marriage had silently changed. Dr. Henderson had just repaired my spine and warned me that I required a month of complete rest without lifting or standing. The strict post-surgical guidelines were still sitting on my dresser. When I calmly asked Preston to postpone the family visit, he did not even look up from his phone before refusing. His words felt like a physical blow to my stomach, revealing a chilling disregard that I had never experienced in our 22 years together. I was treated like an employee rather than a recovering wife. I chose not to argue in that moment, needing quiet time to process the sudden betrayal. As Preston slept peacefully beside me, my back throbbed with deep pain, forcing me to reflect on our long history. Every summer, his massive family descended upon our home like an unstoppable wave. His demanding parents, Thomas and Beatrice, always arrived ready to criticize everything from my cooking to my housekeeping. His brother Wesley and his family joined the invasion, treating our house as if it belonged to them. I spent every summer preparing massive grocery lists, cooking endless meals, cleaning mountains of laundry, and smiling in photos while standing on the sidelines. Nobody ever stopped to ask if I was exhausted. Our daughter Paige was safe at her college dorm, completely unaware of the quiet crisis unfolding at home. I remembered my promise in the recovery room to finally protect my own health. I ignored my pain medication, grabbed my laptop, and decided to look at the paperwork for our property. I retreated to the bathroom with a flashlight and opened the documents from the inheritance of my parents. When my father passed away, followed shortly by my mother, this beautiful house was left solely to me. Preston had never looked at the deed, assuming our home was communal property. Reading my name printed as the sole owner on that official document brought a sudden wave of absolute clarity. The next morning, I contacted Vanessa Vance, the skilled attorney who had managed the estate of my parents. I explained my medical situation and the incoming crowd of 12 relatives. Vanessa listened carefully before reminding me that I held complete legal authority over who stayed on my property. She explained that I did not need permission from anyone to protect my recovery. Her words helped me understand that setting healthy boundaries during a major medical crisis was not an act of cruelty. We spent the next 20 minutes discussing the legal steps to handle this transition cleanly and professionally.
Vanessa emphasized the absolute importance of keeping a clear paper trail to avoid any accusations of malicious intent. I sat at the table, looking out at the yard, knowing I had to protect myself. I secretly made 3 crucial phone calls from my parked car to keep Preston from hearing my plans. The first call was to Crown Remodeling to schedule a massive 2-week interior restoration. The second was to inspect our loud air conditioning system, prioritizing the actual maintenance of my home. The third call went to a reliable painting company that enforced a strict safety policy. Their contract stated that no residents could remain inside the house during the active renovation. This specific clause was exactly what I needed to ensure that the house would remain completely empty. My insurance company confirmed that my recovery plan qualified me for a beautiful single-level rehabilitation apartment. Preston never bothered to ask how I would manage my healing while hosting 12 people, so I did not mention my exit. I packed my bags quietly on Friday night while he was out. I left a factual note on the kitchen counter explaining that I had relocated to recovery housing. The note stated that the house was closed for extensive renovations and warned against interfering with the contractors due to insurance liability. I drove to my quiet apartment and slept peacefully for the first time in days. On Saturday morning, 3 large vehicles packed with luggage and excited relatives pulled into our driveway. They were greeted by laminated signs on the front door stating the home was closed for active renovations. Inside, workers were already busy sanding the floors and covering the furniture in heavy plastic. The foreman politely explained to my stunned husband that the active service contract legally prohibited anyone from staying inside. Preston called my phone repeatedly as the reality of the situation began to set in. When I finally answered, he demanded to know what I had done, his usual smooth tone completely gone. I calmly explained that I was simply following the instructions of my doctor because my health mattered. He yelled that his parents were standing on the porch and his family was humiliated, but I remained firm. I reminded him that I had begged for a postponement and he had ignored my suffering. His mother, Beatrice, called next, screaming that my actions were completely selfish and incredibly embarrassing for the family. I did not argue with her, knowing it was useless, and instead texted her a photograph of my official medical restrictions. I wished them a comfortable stay elsewhere and turned off my phone. Thomas left a booming voicemail accusing me of failing my duties as a wife, which I deleted without hesitation. Meanwhile, Preston faced the massive crisis of finding lodging for 12 people on a busy weekend. He had to book expensive hotel rooms costing thousands of dollars, which finally forced him to manage his own family. For 2 weeks, my husband experienced the exhausting labor of organizing meals, driving relatives around, and managing endless complaints. I spent that time healing in quiet peace, realizing that my worth was not defined by my silent service. I finally reclaimed my home, my health, and the respect that I deserve.